Welcome to this week's Thursday's Cosmic Conversations. I am Stacy Harder, along with my mother, Dr. Heather Harder. And this is your first time. We do this every Thursday, and we come together. You can ask questions, you can listen, you can chime in. But it's a place where you can get together and know that you're not alone in this wild times that we are hearing in this human experience on planet Earth. So, for what being said, I am glad that you're here with us. So thank you for joining in. You can always rewatch this on YouTube or Instagram, and you can also join us on live Zoom if you like. It is 428-733-218 is our Zoom number. Again, 428-733-218. Hello, Becky. So, in this amazing time on the planet, we like to get together and do a little love, guided meditation, and have conversation. So that being said, I'm going to do my business on the social media stuff and pass it over to Mom and let her take over.
Okay, welcome. It is June 17th, 2021, and it has been a very bubbly, energetic day. At my end, I'm getting feedback with this male voice that jumps in on a regular basis, so I hope you're not getting it. If you are, I apologize. There's no men hiding in my office, and not sure what's happening. I'm sure there's a reason somewhere for it. If this is your first time with us, we have a 3-part evening planned. The first part is to always invite in our spiritual helpers to protect us, to guide us, and to make us more aware of truth and help us develop courage and trust in that truth. As time evolves, things are getting more and more extreme, and truth is becoming harder to believe and more buried in lots of what's lovingly been called fake news. So being always in a state of discernment and looking for truth and recognizing truth is exceedingly important. That's part 1. Done. Check that off the list. Part 2 is then to do a little light work. We are here to both evolve our light and love and energy to a higher state, to a maximum capacity, as well as use that in order to serve this planet and its people. We are here to serve this planet and its people. And the planet primarily, we're here to help heal and balance the planet so that she can continue on in her journey. In order to do that, we have to serve humanity, because humanity carries the vibration that has the greatest impact on the consciousness and the well-being of the planet. So it's all mixed into one. Many years ago, over 30 years ago now, I was given an exercise that I was told was very good for the planet. So I've just taken that exercise and then extended it a bit and modify it based on what I'm given each week and what needs to be done. But always you're welcome to change, alter, expand in any way that serves you, serves your intention on the planet. The first requires us to really connect with our own divine sources. We are always connected. You cannot not be connected. Recognizing that and honoring that connection empowers it. So, if you will, I want you to imagine going to your place of center. Your place of center is that place where you are divinely connected to your source. Whether you call it your happy place, your being centered, or going within, it doesn't matter the term you use. It's the intention that you set that empowers it. So for me, I like to imagine going to a beach. My place of center, my place of security and safety is on a beach. It can be any beach, it can be anywhere. And the same thing with you. You can make yours look like the mountains or the woods or the stream or your kitchen or your living room, wherever you imagine being just comfortable and safe and relaxed and open. It can look like something or it can look like nothing. It does not matter. It's whatever feels comfortable to you. Um, but as I said, I like beaches, so I'm going to imagine going to the beach. And as I go to this beach, I imagine this beautiful pillar of light coming down from the heavens and going into the earth. And I just step into that pillar. And in stepping into that pillar, I am in that beam of light that comes from the heavens, comes to me and through me, and goes into the earth. I get charged, restored, balanced as I step into this energy. Light, love, energy, doesn't matter how you call it or refer to it. But just let this energy flow to you and through you. We're all here to anchor heaven to earth. We do that through our energetic connection. And then take a deep breath and just see this light become stronger and bigger. This pillar of light become more meaningful, more profound. And then take this pillar of light and direct it into the earth, filling every cell, every molecule, every crevice, every clump, every void in and around and on this planet with this light, with this love. It's a vibration. It knows no limit. And we're just going to saturate this earth with this energy. We're going to amplify it, magnify it, send it into the atmosphere to see it spread and cover the earth with this magnificent energy. The atmosphere is to the earth as our skin is to our body. It's a very important protective covering, and by sending light and love into it, we just make it stronger. And then we send light and love into it, and we send this light and love into all the weather patterns on the planet. Our job is just to love the weather. It doesn't matter whether it was man-made or part of a natural balancing. We just love it. And on this planet, there are lots of beings who wish to manipulate our atmosphere, our planet, our weather. They're not so thrilled with the evolution of the planet, and our job is to love them too. So imagine all those who are manipulating the earth and the many facets of this earth for their own good, for their own agenda. We're just going to love them. And on this planet, there are lots and lots of beings from all kinds of places that are here to support this planet, to assist her in her evolution. And our job is to love them too. This makes their job easier, accelerates their effectiveness. We want to just love them. Whether you can see them or hear them or feel them, it doesn't matter. Just set the intention. Let the angels assist you in saturating every light helper on the planet. Everyone who's here to make a difference, positive difference. We just love them. And imagine the mass consciousness of this planet, the repository of all thoughts, actions, deeds, beliefs, vibration. This is the unifying force that keeps us all as one, and we want to just love them. Just love them. See this incredible mass consciousness spread its love to every man, woman, child, being, creature, consciousness on this planet. We are all one and share a common destiny. As we prepare for our next election and elections to come, just send love and light to every candidate, every person we've voted for, every person who's been impacted by these elections, who helped impact these election results. Just love them all. And of course, we're in the United States, but all across the globe, elections are occurring, and we want to love those people who are impacting them, who are candidates, who are the winners and the losers, who will make decisions for the rest of their country, their state, their cities, their localities. Just want to love them. We want to love all those in the media, regardless of the kind of media. They too are influencing others. We want to just love them. Whether you see that as light or see it as a pink mist or an iridescent flow, doesn't matter how you see that love and light or experience it, but just set the intention to love all the media. And then just imagine wrapping this media in our love and light and setting the intention that truth become more apparent. The truth will become obvious to those taking in this media. Imagine all the businesses, the organizations, the professionals just becoming more empowered, more circled with love and light, so their actions will come from love and light. And that the rest of us can just tell what's truth and what's not. And we give permission for the angels to use our collective love and light in any way that serves this planet and its people. And there are those I lovingly call the lesser lights, who are doing their best to block, to stop, to alter, to impede the evolution of this planet. They're doing what they feel is best, and we want to just love them too. Divine plan is at work. Divine plan will prevail, and anyone and everyone who tries to interfere with divine plan is going to be bombarded with love. Just bombarded like cannons of love. We have people on the planet, medically, scientifically, professionally, who are putting out information that may or may not be truth, that may or may not be good for us. Let that truth go out. Let the information go out so the truth stands out, that instantly humanity recognize what is propaganda, what is personal agenda, and what is divine truth. We want to just be open to divine truth and recognizing what is not truth. And across this globe, there are people who are needing or wanting love and light, who are being bombarded with messages of fear. They suffer from anxiety. They hurt. They recognize the shortages, the interference, and they are afraid. You just want to love them and know there is no need for fear. The divine plan is perfect. So wherever there is fear, replace it with certainty that all things are perfect. All things are in divine order. I'd like you to imagine that you can take your tongue and massage it so that it only speaks truth. Your tongue will be a messenger of the divine, and you will recognize, know, and speak truth and love. Now feel how that tongue feels as it becomes an instrument of the divine. Everything that your tongue says is a part of, is a choice. So your new improved tongue only wants to speak love, light, and truth. Feel how that feels. Take a deep breath and anchor that energy, and then be open. Because universal law says that everything you send out must come back to you. So as you've been sending this love and light out, it will always come back to you. That's why you always want to send out sweetness and goodness, because that's what you want back in your life. You want to put out thoughts of prosperity and abundance and joy. That's what you want back. As we put out light and love, it comes back to us. So open yourself to receive at every level. Open your hands to receive the energy. Open your mind to receive the knowings. Open your heart to allow yourself to feel what life will be when you have everything that your heart desires. Just be open. Take a deep breath. Let this energy restore your DNA, restore and balance your body. Restore and balance your ability to discern truth. Restore and balance all of your healthy relationships. Just let this be the magic salve that you want and need in your life. And when you're ready, just take a deep breath. Come back to the here and now. Feel how it feels. And the peace that you're experiencing now is a very important awareness of your natural state. This is the peace that passes understanding. This is the peace that you can experience 24/7 if you but allow. imagine a beautiful goblet filled with this energy of this peace. Whenever you step out of this energy and you stop feeling the peace, all you have to do is take a drink from your magic elixir and you restore it to your soul. When you're ready, just come back to the here and now, fully embracing your physicality, fully embracing your intellect, fully embracing your soul's journey. Feel how it feels. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. Allow yourself to be. Okay, Stacy.
Okay.
Anybody online have anything to say?
Well, why is it not going? There we go. As a reminder, that's pretty deep. So I think it takes sometimes a minute for people to come in. But Becky says, I love that one. I needed that about 10 years ago when my confessions at church were always about my mouth. Laughing. No, it's deep. I find right now a lot of us are really being triggered and we're really kind of hitting with those wounds to let go of stuff and to move through things. So I think it's a challenging time for a lot of people, and also being asked to reboot, remove, move from location to location. I just feel like there's so much shift and transition and change that it's a lot of hearts on that one. I just feel like there's such a transitional time that so many people are in this wild state, because I know I'm in it, and I keep learning to say, okay, it's part of the divine plan. Got to trust, and going in that, like, wow, I know what I deserve. I know who I am, and being in that place of also receiving what you really want, stepping into that timeline and into that energy of bringing things in. And we got a absolutely, and we got a yes. So I just think it's a really good time right now to really, when we're lost in our head, I think so much of us having that stuff is to be like, wait, is this really what I want in my life? Then it's like, no, and then love it. And what is it teaching you? What is it showing me? How can I show up and love myself more? Am I letting go of somebody's bringing this up in me? Then what is it really that I'm here to be? It's always about us. Remember that. But then create. I'm so grateful that I have the most amazing this. And like, I know, because you are your own godlet. You are your own God. You get to create your own reality. And I think sometimes in this world today, it's a little challenging to remember who you are and why you're here. Gosha said, I had to take the day off yesterday. I had absolutely no desire to move. Laugh out loud. And I think Mom's talked about that too, is it's common when we're going through these huge energy shifts. Sometimes that exhaustion is actually a gift. Listen to it, follow it, because you can be more energetically open to be able to energetically shift. It's less resistance that way. So there's no accidents. You want to add anything, Mom?
Well, I would change the word you said. I said it's very common. I said it's not unusual. Everybody processes the energy differently. So some people will get tired, some people will get energized, and and they become hyperkinetic, and you can't sleep at night because your mind is going so fast. So it's not necessarily one size fits all. You just have to be open to however you're processing it and be okay with that. Another thing you said that I sort of was surprised by is that we are our own gods. I think we are here as a part of the divine. We are all part of that creation, and that we are the co-creators of our world, and we have the ability to pull on this divine energy to create whenever we want. We are part of the divine, but I don't think that we are the whole divine.
I totally, yes. I don't
Well,
think.
but if someone's just hearing you, I don't want them to think that's what we believe, because I do know that you do, see yourself as a part of the divine. So with that, that's all I want to add. Anybody want to add anything else? Anybody having comments online?
She says I flip-flop. Not sure what that means. I flip-flop.
Well, just different times you'll process it differently, and that's also not uncommon. That one day you may be hot, one day you may be cold, one day you may be sweating, one day you may be chills, because the body metabolism has to process and hold this energy integration. And so just like we have the outward signs are always reflecting where we are, so are the inward signs. And if you're flip-flopping from how you feel to how you want to process, that's okay. Just be okay with it.
Yeah. And I think right now we're also, someone says yes. And I think on top of that, I just was reading the comments, flip-flop with energy and yes, and then I lost my train of thought.
Well, go ahead and read the comments and it'll come back to you.
I was reading the comments.
Thank you for that comment coming back to you easily and peacefully and serenely. We give gratitude for their wonderful mind that can retrieve those thoughts at will.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to ask or say? We have no agenda. It's based on the conversation. So if anybody has anything that came up or they want to bring up, this is the time to do it.
So we have sleep has been weird, wide awake when I should sleep, and then when I finally sleep, it's an aware sleep.
I'm not sure what an aware sleep is. Can she define that? Or he?
No, it's she. It's Gosha from Nova Scotia.
Well, what's an aware sleep?
Well, there's a little delay, and so it takes a few seconds for us to actually be broadcast to them, because it's sometimes 5-10 seconds behind.
But yes, that's not unusual at all. And I've been going through it too. So times 3 and 4 in the morning, I'm still wide awake. And
last night, good example. Couldn't sleep. Up early. But I'm learning as a Gemini, ruled by the moon naturally, I can be much more affected by the moon, which is interesting because the last year I've spent more awareness, I think, because we've been so much pause. It's like, oh, there's a full moon. Oh, and you see a lot of people having the more ceremonies and doing all these classes and stuff online around the moon, that I'm more familiar with it. And then after I did combo, setting my menstruational moon cycle to the new moon was like, oh wow, it's like so different than my entire life. With the cycle, it's like there's no pain, it's ease and it's grace, and I have to remind myself that I'm on my moon cycle. It's pretty wild. So I've paid attention to more than I have.
When you say get up early, what does that mean to you?
Well, by the way, aware sleep is I can feel myself sleeping, so it's not a deep sleep. I feel myself. laugh out loud.
Interesting. Well, if she can feel herself sleep, it means that she's not totally in her body during those moments. So I would have a list of questions that during that aware sleep, you can ask yourself these questions and get answers from a different part of your consciousness. You have access to a lot more information when you're not anchored to the mind. And if you're in that state of mindful sleep or whatever you called it, then you might have a lot more interesting answers to your questions. Just remember, for everything, there's a part of you that knows, and your soul is always sort of traveling earlier than you are. So the way life is explained to us really isn't very accurate. And so your soul is already wherever you want to go or whatever you want to do. You just have to connect with that and bring it in. We're just beginning to understand and pull in our different
So what's an
timelines.
Questions?
What do you want to know?
Like, if you're in that awareness, you're sleeping, but you're not deep into the sleep, like what kind of...
Well, I would prepare the questions early, but based on what she wants to know. Questions that might come to my mind are, where am I? Why am I able to understand that I'm sleeping without being fully asleep? How do I use this state for my spiritual growth? Is this something that everyone can do? Why am I doing it? So I would want to explore what that mindful sleep, and I'm saying it as a mindful sleep would be, but she may have other questions she wants to know. When my husband was, long story, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, but anyway, he was sleeping, and so I went in and talked to him, and I said, don't wake up. I want you staying asleep, but I want you to answer these questions for me. Where are you? What are you doing? Tell me about where you are. Tell me about why you go there. So I asked him questions, and if you knew him, he was cars and sports and absolutely no adjectives in his language. It was very hardcore, this is the way it is kind of thing. And the language he used and the descriptions he gave were just so not him. And he never woke up. He didn't remember the conversation. But while he was sleeping, I asked the questions and got very profound answers. I wish I'd had a notebook and written them down because I forgot them, but they were really amazingly beautiful at the time. So that's the kind of things I would ask. But, what does she want to know?
She says, that's interesting. I'll definitely ask. Thank you. And then Becky had a question that says, may seem strange to ask about, but I've been
First of all, my life has been strange. Nothing she could ask would seem strange. So go ahead.
Okay. The question is, she's been seeing things on how the earth is really a flat plane. What are your thoughts on this? Strictly out of curiosity.
More and more information is coming out about that and looking at things differently. And I think that this whole planet, this whole life is much more complex than what we can comprehend it. So for me, I don't spend any energy on it. It'll be what it'll be. And when I'm dead, I'll get to get a different perspective. And so I don't worry about it. I think certainly we're learning about how holographic projection works. I mean, somebody who I admire, Joan Rivers, did a whole cross-country media tour with holographic projections, and the people who saw her performances said, "My God, it was like she was alive. It was like she was there doing it, and it was a holographic projection." So I can't say that it makes sense. I've been shown different things, and I think this whole thing is just way too complex for my mind.
Yeah.
So if it feels like it's a flat earth theory, then just bless it and go with it till, if you keep asking to know truth, it'll show up. But I wouldn't say one way or the other at this point in time. I see evidence for both, and I just trust that right now that is important for my life, so I don't worry about it. I'm more impacted by getting my bedroom cleaned up so I can list my house, pack my books away. What does she think about it?
Well, let's see. What do you think about it? Takes a second.
It's okay. We can come back to it.
That's how I feel too. Thank you. Laugh out loud.
See? Completely in sync.
Well, and I feel like it also could be all about perspective too, and what dimension you're in, what frequency you're in, because I feel like as we shift dimensions, there is the ability to shift how you see things. And so it's interesting. I'm not into the understanding.
And what serves us, different things will serve us at different points along our way. So it is what it is.
But it is interesting that if it really was upside down, at some point, gravity, wouldn't the water and stuff fall?
No, because centrifugal force with the earth spinning. It's like those rides at the fair where you plug off the sides and then it spins real fast and the bottom falls out. But you don't fall down with the bottom, you just stay plastered to the side. Or those motorcycles that get in those bins and go around real fast, and they're literally sideways on the sides of these cages, but they don't fall down. Force can do all kinds of unusual things.
Soulful Intimacy says, I want to put your mom in my pocket for when I need her sweetness for guidance. I've been sending love all day, and people at work are saying it too now. Sending love. Got a trend going. Thank you, Mama. She got hearts.
Good. One of the other things that I do that I think is very powerful that no one really notices or appreciates, but whenever I get money coming or going, either I'm paying something or I'm getting money in, I kiss it and literally send love through that financial chain. I saw the practice when I was in Bali, and I love it. And so I've started doing that, and I'm now finding other people in my world who are kissing their money before they pay things. And, it's kind of fun. But yes, that is the ripple. When you start doing something, you can influence other people to start doing things. So light and love, sending love gets other people sending love. And even if they don't fully comprehend what they're doing, they're making a difference. So congratulations, you have made a difference.
And then Becky says, it does make sense in a weird way, but it doesn't really matter to me either way. Just interesting to think about. It is interesting, and it is interesting that it's been coming up quite a bit, I think, more lately too. It is wild, and our perspective's changing. So as our perspective changes, our consciousness changes, our vibration changes, reality changes. So it's quite interesting.
Well, and I was taken aboard one of the motherships, and I want to use my air quotes because this language we have is such a arbitrary language. So there might be a better term for it, but Star Trek calls it mothership, so I'm going to call it motherships. But I was taken aboard a mothership to sort of be shown how they function, how they look, and you would have never known you were in an enclosed process. It literally, where's that show? The comedian that makes all kinds of strange faces, and he had a world that was. He ended up being on a reality show, The Truman Show. The Truman Show, yes, that show. If you remember, there was a sky and there was all these things, and it looked like he was in the world. Jim Carrey, yeah. But it was a studio, and he didn't find out till a light fell. Well, when you're aboard these crafts, I mean, they're 10 to 20 miles apart. You can't see the edges. It looks like you're in these worlds, except there's layers, and each layer is like a different environment. So you can be in deserts or mountains or beaches or whatever, and it looks like what we would say is reality. But is reality just a bigger ship? I don't know. But seeing those environments, you recognize, who knows what we're living in.
Well,
And who
sometimes
cares?
I get visuals of us like literally, it's similar to the Matrix, but different. But like literally, and we're not in the same form, but we're like linked up and connected to the sourceness. And so it's like literally we're living, what I've seen is like living out, it's like literally playing a game inside of your, I don't know how to
Well,
explain.
we create an environment that we can have experiences on, basically, is the nuts and bolts of this. And there's different reasons why we want different experiences. But, you know, how far does that go? If I want to go to the beach, I can go catch a plane and go to the beach and be on the beach. But what if I can just change my thoughts and the beach can come to me? So, just enjoy your experiences. That's the best thing you can do. If you watch a movie and you see people going through all kinds of things, in the end, it all works out. And so if you can go through the icky moments of life and just in the end, it's all going to work out. And it's okay. Again, I lovingly call myself an intellectual hoarder. I've got way too many books and papers and files and whatnot. And so for moving, I have to go through them and sort them out and store them or whatever I'm going to do with them. And it's real easy to get lost in the of the project, but then think, no, this is teaching me. This is why I put this out here. What am I, how can I find joy in this experience? And it's amazing the way my mind allows me to change the experience I'm having, even though physically I'm doing the same thing, but mentally I've changed the experience, if that makes any sense. So you're in charge of your experiences, and you've all called them in for whatever reason, whether it's an ugly court experience or an ugly divorce or, financial woes, you called it in. So make the most of it. Every one of those, like, those people who've made millions all have their stories about being homeless and sleeping in their cars or sleeping on the park bench. And, you might be going through your broke period so that you can make a bigger story out of your prosperity period. Who knows? Just a game. And then you die.
It's a true story. I'm getting comments on my bracelets, and I said that I make them. So like, when are you coming out with your line? I'm like, well, actually I already do. So most of them are around 22. There's a few that are more like Laura Mara, that stone alone is way more. And then like the pink tourmaline, and there's some different sizes and whatnot. And then my evil eye, and thanks. I've been really enjoying making them. So if you are interested, let me know. There's tiger's eye, and I have a whole box actually. Go ahead, take over for a second.
Take over what?
The conversation.
Well, you're the one that brings up the questions.
Well, I know, because I got questions in front of me, but I think
Okay.
I have. Woo! I'm in a dress that moves around a lot, so sometimes when I move, it's a little like, whoop, there she goes. I have a bunch of different ones, and I have them labeled, so there's different stones. I can remember what stones they are. Like agate. But I like a lot of the faceted, so they have extra sparkles. So it's just, not all of them are. Howlite. And anyways, if you're interested, let me know. You can PM me. And I do have one this one's not a genuine stone, but I just think it's kind of magical. It's very cool. So yes, I got lots of them. Some raw ones too. So if you're interested, I'd love to sell you some. And they're made with love. So there's tiger's eye, good protection. And I can custom make them too for your wrist. That's one of the reasons why I started making them, because usually they don't fit. I like them a little snug so they don't really move too much. But that's a personal choice. So anyways, good. Contact me. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's galactic-y. It's I don't know. It caught my eye and I was like, I don't even know why I love this so much, but it does have this.
Well, it's kind of that fuchsia color that is a very high vibrational, one of the new chakras that's way out there.
Is it magenta, I think is the color?
It's a little bit more of the purple and just pure magenta.
Okay. Yeah. And there's stones that if you need a little extra for your love, this is like good for your heart and love, all kinds of stuff. Meditation, this is for focus and meditation and grounding and calming. So
okay. Thank you, Stacy.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm done.
Any questions now?
Not any questions. That was the only last question I have. Anybody have any questions?
Or if you're on the call and you want on the Zoom and you want to say something, you can say something. You don't have to just write it out. So if anybody's on the Zoom and wants to say something, or if you are not on the Zoom and you want to say something, then you have to get on the Zoom. Or we'll have a very short call tonight. The biggest thing I can say is that's important right now is just developing trust. Just trust that whatever's going on is exactly what needs to go on, and just be okay with it.
And I would add on that trust, and to, as we always say, protection, guidance, and no truth, but to live in your truth, to choose truth, to speak your truth, and to remember that it's never the other person. The other people are just a mirror for yourself, and it's always a gift and opportunity for you to show up and love yourself in a deeper form or fashion. So I think that a lot of us are getting an extra right now to be able to turn more love, because as our frequencies are shifting, we have to be able to hold that vibration. And to me, it's the duality and the polarity. So when we can feel into that, the darker shadowy side, then we can actually feel the love and light that much deeper and that much more. And that's my truth. And so I think that this is an opportunity that we're getting ready. If you can handle all this with love and be able to not have judgment on yourself and not shame yourself, and to really learn to let go of shame and the old story and the old programming, we're literally being able to bring in the most magical timeline that you can imagine.
I want to add something in the middle of that, because I don't want you to go into another topic without going through that. If you're experiencing shame and guilt and blame, do spend time reflecting about what's bringing those things up. Those can be important lessons. Anytime there's an emotional reaction to something, there's an opportunity for growing. There's an opportunity for learning and lessons. You just don't want to hold on to it. If you've done something that you feel badly about, then do whatever you need to do to restore your balance. In the 12-step programs, they tell you to make amends. And so there might be a way of making amends, or at least freeing yourself from that experience. don't just pat yourself in the back saying it's okay. I don't, you don't need to feel shame about that. You don't need to feel guilt. If you've done something that's guilt worthy, cleanse yourself of that energy and then move beyond it. Don't just sit and simmer in it. But you also want to own your shortcomings, because if you don't own your shortcomings, you don't grow. So you want to be able to go, oh, I could have done better here. I could have done better than that. But so move through it and learn from it. If it's the other people's stuff, they'll feel the emotional hit. If you're going through something and you have no emotional hit, you have either healed that issue, or you are in denial about that issue, or it's not your issue. If you feel an emotional hit, then there's something there for you. Spend time reflecting on it, and what am I to learn from this? What am I to experience? There's something there that says this is a nugget for me. Emotions are a very important signal. It's wonderful just to love and embrace yourself, but there's a reason why some of those feelings come up. Some of you, and God help the Catholics, they're taught to be guilty about everything. Some of you have a propensity to hanging on to those lesser energies. That's what you need to prevent. It's what you don't want to do. But do take the time to sit with them, learn from them, and then move beyond them.
Yes, I think that's good. There's also been a question I think is fascinating, because we've been talking about this around earthquakes. And sorry, I guess I missed that other one from I'll go back to soulful intimacy, to your other comment.
We're gonna do the earthquake first.
Yeah, so they say earthquakes are everywhere, but it's oh wait, the question before. Okay, there's a couple questions around earthquakes actually. So Esme asked, do you think earthquakes can be caused? And I know I've heard you mention climate control, but what are your thoughts around that? And there's another one.
All right, so let's stay with it. Thank you for only just saying one, so I can answer that and then we can add to it. Yes, I know earthquakes can be caused by all kinds of different things, from thought all the way through fracking, and from other things, both intentional and energetic. Sometimes they're caused intentionally, and sometimes they are caused unconsciously. Puerto Rico, God help any people in Puerto Rico. I believe Puerto Rico is being bombarded with all kinds of energies in order to vacate the island. Something's going on in Puerto Rico that they want people to leave. So they've had all kinds of extreme experiences, and people are moving out of Puerto Rico. And I think it's a target for something. I don't know what, but they don't want that population to be too mindful. So they keep them busy and distracted with survival. I also think that earthquakes can be healed. If you think of a puzzle and you have 4 or 5 pieces of puzzle put together, there's cracks where those pieces go together. That's sort of like the fault lines throughout the planet. And there are places where these fault lines come together, like pieces of the puzzle. And that's where it's most vulnerable for shifting, for changing, for earthquakes. And we have been getting ready over the last 10, 15 years with increasing earth changes. That's going to accelerate. And so when Stacy moved out to California, I said, if you ever get the urge to move out, to go away for the weekend, even if it doesn't make sense, you go, because California is on one of those fault lines. There's lots of fault lines all over the place. So you need to be aware there's pressure of things changing and moving, and they can buckle and they can shift and they can crack open. And earthquakes are just the earth moving. And this is a dynamic planet. It's not a bump of clay that never changes. And so, yes, the earth itself can change its plates, and unscrupulous residents can change the plates. And sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's unintentional. But that's why we're here. Love is that incredible power that balances and heals. So literally sending love and light into those fault lines, into those plates are very important and can prevent some of those earth changes. But we have just begun the process, just as we're going through lots of changes physically, the earth is going through lots of changes physically, and we have to honor that. If you feel the earth move under your feet, get the hell out.
Well, and I think there's a major reason why I'm out of California too, because I never thought I would leave. And I think it's no accident that there's millions upon millions of people leaving.
And, a lot, just like Pompeii, we hear about Pompeii and all the people who got incinerated and then encased in basically concrete, that we have their bodies now, the casts of their bodies. They had lots of warnings before Pompeii, and a lot of people left Pompeii, which is why there was only the number of people killed there were. There actually could have been, 10 times that. But people left Pompeii because they were given warnings. I think the earth is giving us lots of warnings in preparation now, and I think you have to heed that. If you feel the need or feeling the inclination, do it. Just follow your heart. It doesn't have to make sense. In fact, it can be anything but making sense. And it's okay.
The second part of that question was Becky asked, is anything we can do for the frequency of earthquakes happening the last few days?
Just like we did our exercise with sending love into the earth, into the atmosphere, into the weather patterns, into the mass consciousness, and into those who make a difference on this planet, the influencers. That basic exercise is powerful. So sending love into the weather patterns, into the earth, whenever you're watching the news and it's showing the weather, first of all, I suggest you don't watch the news, but if you hear about the earth weather patterns, literally spend 60 seconds just in focus, sending love and light, seeing it beam up. You will be amazed at the difference it makes, and you can measure it. And if you've got 2 or more people doing it, it's even more powerful.
Will you explain fracking? Because it's a little bit different than drilling, but someone else.
Okay. I have to tell it from my perspective. In this planet, we have aquifers, which are the water that is in the earth. It functions to the earth because the earth is a living consciousness, and our bodies are made in sort of in a harmony with the planet. So just as our bodies have veins and blood runs through our veins to feed our brain and feed our hearts and do all the things, cleanses and it purifies and it nourishes and does all kinds of things. But those veins of blood are very important for supporting the life of our body. Water is the lifeblood of this planet. So when you're sending love and light into the water or into the rain or that's the lifeblood, that's the cycle of healing the earth. We have oils that will we will secrete. Our hair gets oily and we think, oh, how bad. But it's actually a very important part of the lubrication of our body. And without going into a lot of detail, it also happens for the earth. That's what oil does in the planet. Of course, humanity has drained much of the water and polluted much of the water, which takes its toll on the planet. And it also has been finding these oil reserves and going, oh, yay, we're rich, look at all the oil. And they pump out the oil, which then dries the planet. The oil is what keeps these tectonic plates moving smoothly. When we pump out the oil, then it's much jerkier. It's like if we didn't put oil in our engine, the engine would die because there's too much friction. It fights itself. Well, the oil is extremely important, and it flows and does everything to keep everything lubricated, except we pump it out. Well, selfish little men decided they couldn't get enough oil by just pumping it out of these little puddles that are within the earth. So
Pause, because we are off of our live. So give me a second while I can post it, and then we'll come back.
I feel the earth move under my feet. I feel the skies come tumbling down. Da 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 da. I feel the skies.
Hang on. All right, it says checking connection. All right. Welcome back to part 2. We kind of got cut off. There was no warning. It just kind of happened. So welcome Mercury retrograde. Give me a second. Let the other people that were on come in. So forget a few of their names because they're new. Hello. Welcome back. Sorry we got kicked off. I have no idea what happened. It just said poor connection, done. Like, okay. So we were in the middle of saying something, and I'm going to let Heather finish saying it. So,
well, I don't know where we stopped, but we were talking about the oil. We talked about the water being sort of the lifeblood of the earth and being very important for nourishing and healing and cooling and sort of the different systems of the earth. Then we're talking about the oil, and the oil is the lubricant, just like our engines in our cars needs that lubricant to cut down the friction, so there's not as much wear and tear. And if you've ever let your engine go dry on oil, you know that it seizes up, it literally locks. And so when we pump all the oil out of the earth through the veins and through the puddles that exist in the earth, that's when the shifts in the tectonic plates get much more active, because they can't just move gently. They really have to take and fight that movement process. But when the puddles dry up and they want to get more oil, when the rich just aren't rich enough, so they have to do fracking. And fracking is when they send, and I think it's water, but they literally drill a hole and they send, I think it's water, fluid down into the planet that squeezes the levels so that the oil begins to puddle again. And again, oil and water doesn't mix. Try vinegar and oil, and you'll see that oil then floats on top. So then what happens is they shoot water into the earth and the oil rises, and then they can access the oil. And that's what they're doing. And as they do that, the earth becomes much more rigid. I mean, it just doesn't work as smoothly, just like when we drain these special fluids of our body, that it doesn't work as well. And so that's what fracking is. It's just a very selfish way of trying to make more money by bleeding off the oil, because they don't understand the dynamic system that our earth is a part of.
well, I would say they more so they don't care.
Well, if you don't respect something, you don't think about it being having needs or having wants. Whether it's men who don't respect women, they don't care what their needs are, what their wants are. They just do whatever makes them happy. And that's really what many people do for the earth. They don't see it as a living creature. They don't see it as something that we need to respect and understand. So that's what fracking is. And that's why it's not good for our planet. And it's why we're getting many more earth changes in the severe weather and the severe experiences, because our earth is unhappy. It's out of balance. It's in pain.
Soulful Intimacy asks, we have a solstice coming up. Can Mama Heather recommend anything we can do for ourselves or in general? Because is it a powerful time? ?
Well, first of all, I think just sitting in reverence and really appreciating. All of us like to be appreciated. Even you guys are calling me Mama Heather and saying nice things. I mean, I like that. I don't need it for my well-being, but I like it. And I think the earth is the same way. So just sit wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just sit for 5 minutes and just appreciate the earth and all that it gives you as far as your experiences and your joy and your comfort. I'm moving from my current home, so I can go out and get in trees. And so get into whatever brings you happy. When Stacy was in California, she liked sitting on the beach and communing with the water. If you like the woods, get in the woods. Wherever you feel most close to the earth and most connected, and just love them. Watch on Netflix. There is a trees, and it's free. Takes an hour or so to watch, but it really gives you a much greater appreciation. It's about trees. I forget. It's a documentary on trees, like the secret life of the trees or something or other. But in watching it, you begin to recognize that the whole reverence of the trees, and it's not done as a woo kind of documentary. It's done, with the university researchers and what they know about the trees and how they have communities and how they have to have interconnectedness. And there's always a mama tree who's taking care of it. Even if you cut that tree off, that stump is still giving life force into the earth. It's just very interesting. But anything that's going to make you more appreciative of the planet, more connected to the wisdom of the planet, is appreciated. And then obviously just sending love and light. If you have the ability, go to the store and buy a bag of tobacco. Tobacco was seen as a great gift to the earth, and so buy a bag of tobacco and go out and give it to your bushes and your trees as a thank you present. The divas, the little angel spirits that take care of the plants, love to be appreciated. And you'll see the difference in your plant world when you begin to show reverence and honor the sacredness of all life force. So it isn't about doing the right thing. It's about coming from the right place, and everything you do is the right thing.
Yes. And I think also the movie Fantastic Fungi is epically brilliant. The way it's done, I had no idea that mushrooms had such this incredible connection. And it's when you step, like every foot you step, I want to say it's like 300 miles of this connectedness, and looks like our nervous system. It's fantastic. And
there's a book called The Secret Life of the Plant, which shows it's a wonderful book on the different research they've done on plants and the different levels of consciousness that plants carry in general. And so the more you learn, and that's again scientific, not woo-woo, the more you learn about the nature that operates all around us, from the smallest fungi to the largest trees or your house plant, the more you can go, wow, we really do live in a magical world. They had plants witness the murder of a plant, and they hooked them up to lie detector machines, and the plants could identify the murderer of the plant. So, I mean, it's just amazing. We don't think about that. What are you guys all smirking for? What's going on?
Todd got on and just saying hello, and then I got some beautiful comments, so it was just smiling and saying thank you. And
well, any comments do you want to share with us?
I love you too so much.
Okay, good enough. So anybody else have any questions or any comments they want to make?
Gosha said my house is filled with plants. It's my addiction, an obsession, and you can kind of see me too. I love my plants. In fact, I just planted a bunch today that I had brought from Cali and replanted some into some separate things, and I had to leave. That was the sad part. I still think about the plants I had to leave. But yeah, plants are magical. I love them. I love them.
And anything that you love is going to open up your heart more and allow you to be open to that energy. And the more you open to send love, the more you get that love back. So it's a wonderful gift. And when you are looking at this solstice, make an intention to do something intentional. You know, don't just let it happen. And it doesn't have to be a 5-hour ceremony. You know, 5 minutes will do it. Just be in that space.
Do you name your plants, Stacy? I do too.
All of them, but I have like Alberto. That's he needs a little extra loving right now, but yeah, some of them I do. If I name my cars, like yeah, right? It's fun. It's like this baby, I don't have a name for her, but she's like this ginormous epic. Oh, look, see, her leaf didn't do well in the move, but she's huge orchid.
Oh.
Wow.
Doing less well now.
It was already ripped. You can see the whole thing has been ripped for a while. She wanted to come off, obviously. So here I am to catch her.
Blame the victim.
No, I think this is a perfect thing. We're all shedding right now. Anything that no longer serves us, anything that's not what we need, like, it's okay to let it go.
Okay.
But yes.
Anybody else have any burning questions or burning thoughts they want to share or awarenesses?
I think it's a good question. So the Galactic Federation, there's a lot of different words that people are using. Galactic Federation of Light, GFL, GF. So there's a question that some are saying that the GF is evil. So personally, she doesn't believe that. So, but it's been interesting to see what's been said. Would you like to talk about that?
Okay, let's use the example of Bob. Bob is a terrible person. Bob is a gut.
I thought you were talking about Dad. I was like, first, let's say who Bob is, but you're just saying Bob is in general, so never mind.
Just a general name.
Okay.
The point is, there are a lot of Bobs in the world, and some of them may be ones that you want to have as friends, and some of them are those that you don't want to have friends. And either way is okay for you. We have a language that people have in business or in law. The first thing you have to do is unpack the words. So when somebody is using the term Galactic Federation or GF, what do they mean by that? Who are they talking about? Because it could be 500 different organizations. We have, as I said, we have over 50 kinds of alien life forms on the planet right now as we speak. In the skies around us, there's many more than that. So who are they talking about? And so at this point in time, I just don't use any of them. You know, I have everybody divided into 2 categories. Aliens is just those who serve this planet and humanity, and those that don't. Those that serve the light and those that serve themselves, or which I call the lesser lights. And so I don't worry about which galaxy are they from and how long have they been here and do they eat grits or not. It's just not important to my world. I'm given what I need, and those things are not important to the mission that I do. And I think, again, it's important to understand that we send light and love to everybody. Those that are lesser lights, we need to activate and stimulate their light wattage, if you will. And those that do serve the light, then by sending them light and love, we encourage them and empower them. So if you're sending love and light to everybody, you're doing everything that you can. You don't be selective on who you serve. And if you're getting into different terms and are they good or as they bad, what you're doing is judging, and that diminishes your light. So I don't do that. And for me, it's not important. If it's important for you, you'll be given the information.
And I will say we've talked about that in different portions throughout. Earlier in our conversation too, you talked about the mothership, and your experience of being on the mothership. You've connected a lot with them.
Well, in 30 years, I've gone through about every cycle of training that you can. And there was one, you can't understand this planet without understanding our alien involvement. And so I was given a lot of information about our aliens. But at that time, I was also a university professor, so I didn't spend a lot of time talking about it because people think you're wacko. So it was just like, okay, I understand how this works, and I understand the team, and I understand my role in this process. And as I've said many times, we are much, 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 much more complicated than just having a physical body in the here and now. We are also part of our soul aspects are in other existences, and we're in those ships. Many of you are also in the Galactic Federation as I know it to be. And it's okay. And if you're meant to know it, you'll be told about it. You'll have your own awarenesses. You'll know who your teammates are.
Well, but let's go back to that, because I think there was a lot of people who asked questions. Do you want to discuss about the council that kind of looks over and after and no?
I don't. Okay, to what context? I mean,
okay, so
talk about my toes too, but it wouldn't be very interesting to everybody. So what's the context? What?
Wow, you're so salty today. It's spicy, mama. Okay, so that is your I understand that.
Whoever wants to put little mama in her pocket because I'm so sweet has to understand that I also have a salty side.
Scotia from Nova Scotia.
Okay. So if you put me in the pocket, I got salt and sugar.
Yeah, and
I'll activate all your taste buds.
Okay, like just for a lot of people who are new to that theory and the understanding, it is my understanding that yes, there is a whatever you want to call them, let's just call it a group of aliens that do look over the protection. I think they represent a lot of different.
Well, I do think Gene Roddenberry was a very profoundly wise man as he was creating his fiction story called Star Trek. It's available on CD. It's available on some of these Netflix and these other shows or on YouTube. Go watch them. There's a lot of truth in that. That gives you a language, it gives you a context. And so think in terms of that's not 100%, but it's a good 80% accuracy for how it works. And there's just like, and I send them light and love. I love them. The United Nations, quote unquote, is making decisions for this world, our planet, based on what's good for the world. They don't always have the correct motivation for making that decision, but they do have sort of authority that people have given them. Well, there's that kind of council as well that looks out after all the planets, but there's renegades that don't go along with it. There's various things. The Nuremberg trial was about the renegades on this planet, but we have that happening on a bigger scale as well. But this planet is about coming to experience. and we're here to help the planet evolve from a third dimensional planet to a fifth dimensional planet, one based on differences and separation, to one based on unity and oneness. That's our job. So the more we can be in that space, if you think about all the differences, you're literally going away from that oneness. So if you think about that, we're all part of the same team. We're all here to come together for the betterment of the planet and our consciousness. Then literally we are helping evolve the planet into that fifth dimensional state.
And there's a question, do either of us ladies do past life remembrance, and do you recommend it in the sense of possible deeper healing? So 2 things. Yes, Mom does private sessions. She has, and she will do that if that serves you. Doesn't mean that if it doesn't serve you, then it's kind of pointless. But I don't know if you're asking if we do like past life regression, but I know for me, like I do have remembrances of past lives, and I'll get flashbacks or things like I think when I'm ready or wanting. But it's sometimes when I meet people, I'll actually, their face will start kind of moving, alternating. It's kind of wild. And in fact, if it's something that you want to practice seeing, for me, if you do eye gazing and like looking into the left eye of each other, I find that it can be really powerful to just do that gazing, and sometimes you can easily shift and see different things. It's actually something I learned in Tantra, but it's kind of fun. So yes, regression. So Mom, do you want to talk about past life regression?
I do. I really, really, really do. First of all, there's no such thing as past life. We are operating in multiple levels simultaneously. So what may have seemed like a lifetime from 1800s may indeed be a life that you haven't even experienced yet, that happens in all kinds of ways. That we have bought into past, present, and future because it's easy. And I talk about past lives because it's easy, but it isn't accurate. That we're operating at all different levels of consciousness simultaneously. But when we go through something, let's say you went to a party last week and you got blatantly drunk, you stripped off all your clothes, you danced on the table and made a complete ass of yourself. I went to college where that happened periodically. And you can't get over it. You literally have frozen in shame in that moment, and you can't forgive yourself and just laugh it off. You just are frozen in that place. And sometimes that happens, so that all of a sudden there's this bleed through that I can't move beyond until I get this taken care of. Oh my gosh. And so that's, to me, when a past life or another life experience is interfering with this life. You don't need to go back and do that. You just need to start from where you are and let it go. But for those people where it's important, you can be made aware of what it was so that you can move beyond. I've worked with lots of people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And there was a woman who had led she was a Native American, and she'd led like this hunting party out, maybe 20, 50 braves into the hunting party, and they'd been ambushed. They were all killed, and she's still carrying the blame and beating herself up for causing all these deaths. And so literally when we were able to go there, relive it, talk herself through it, and become okay with it and see it from a different perspective, she cried a box of Kleenex practically, but she was able to let go. And that's when there's a lot of tears is often an indicator that this is a real important issue to release. Tears are very therapeutic, and they're very good at washing away issues that you have a hard time and you're stuck with. But that's, to me, when past life is most important. When I take people to Egypt, one of the things we do before we go is I lead people through a past life regression so that they sort of get their own connection. When in Egypt is it's bigger than a country, that Egypt is an experience that has operated for a long time on this planet. So people can have many, many experiences in Egypt, not just one and done. It's lots and lots of layers. And so and people will connect with that. And then when they get there, they connect with Egypt even more. I had one person who just, what she was describing wasn't Egypt. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. That's, I don't have anything to connect with it. I can't help you, just be aware. But it was, Rose City, and it was, carving out this and things that are nothing to do with Egypt. Well, we always take a trip after Egypt, sort of a vacation after Egypt. And we went to Jordan, and we went to Petra. And she went absolutely ballistic because Petra is called the Rose City. I didn't know that. And then when she was in Petra, it was like, this is what I saw. This was my awareness, where she had connected with Jordan that I couldn't connect with because I hadn't been to Jordan at that time. And so there's lots of reasons why you might want to explore past life, but just out of general curiosity, I'd say there's better ways of spending your time. We've all been leaders. We've all been authority figures. We've all been paupers. We've all been good. We've all been bad. We've all been
Kings and
well, that's what I would say is the authority figures. We've all been people that we're proud of, and we're all been people who we're not so proud of. And it's just experiences, because that's what our soul seeks, is just experiences.
When they say that somewhat too, schizophrenia is kind of an interesting thing, because sometimes I believe you can be actually going in different dimensions or realities. But there's some of them that also are like, I'm Jesus. And there's some beliefs that aspects of their souls can come out. Hey, Claudia. Anyways, do you want to talk about my brain is not in that place to be able to explain it right now.
Well, first of all, there are times when your brain is not healthy and your brain gets poorly wired, and if your house is poorly wired, it can burn down. Well, sort of the same thing happens in your brain. It is an electrical system, and it can get rewired, and that's when you get into the things Stacey's talking about, schizophrenic and the bipolar and a lot of the other mental disorders. They can be repaired, but they also can cause a lot of challenges along the way. So those are the exceptions, and I don't know that using those as an example is healthy, because you what?
That's why using that example is interesting, but it's the frequency, the shifts, the variations, the getting in and out of time.
Yeah.
Be able to see past the dimensions and seeing spirits and having conversations and doing all these things where most people don't have that veil removed. So it's and not all of them are that way, but some of it, it's a heavy conversation. That's why
I worked with a 21-year-old whose mother was quite worried about him, and because he was having all these strange experiences and sort of not in touch with reality. So I said, I would meet with him and see what's going on. Anyway, the kid, and I'm early 20s, 21, 22, 23, in that early stage. But literally, as I said, everything's going on now simultaneously. It's not, it's not a linear, but it's a stacked process. And he was flipping through the different worlds, but in a conscious state. He was aware when he would change channels. And if you ever sit by someone who's just changing channels, it'll drive you nuts in a bit. Well, imagine if that's what your mind is doing, is plugging you into different channels on a regular basis. And so within one visit, we were able to show him how to take control of the controls. So he stopped flipping channels. And to a large extent, once he understood what was happening to them and he could gain confidence in controlling the process, he then was a different person. And so there is things that can happen, but you are so powerful, so knowledgeable, so incredible that you have the power to fix anything that's broken if you approach it from the right way. So even though he had no control to begin with of his changing channels, within a short while he could go, oh, that's what's happening. So he could take control and be in charge of his life. And that's really what we're all doing. So if you've had a past life experience that you can't move beyond, you can literally sit with it, open it up, heal it, without having to relive it. I mean, you can relive it, and I'll be happy to do that. I like money, and I charge people to do it, but you don't have to do it.
Well, and your charges have same price for 30 years since you started doing it, so it's 97 an hour. I don't know.
Well, but that's, again, that's not the point. But sometimes getting someone else to help you become aware or do a little diagnostic work can be helpful. So
She had a question for past life regression. Does it only work when you're in the same space, like Zoom? Laugh out loud. Would that work? She's curious.
it can happen. It can work anywhere. I mean, it literally. Again, the people who took my class on remote viewing, you learn how to move out of your body. Well, if you understand the process, you are so much more than your body, and your consciousness is so much more than your body. So it's most fun when you're face to face in the same room and can look and talk and read body signals. That's best. Second best is Zoom, where you can look at the faces and talk about and have a conversation. But you don't have to, again, any way, anyhow, you're connecting energetically, you're connecting through consciousness, and that can be anywhere, anyhow, anytime.
Love it. And we have a new Nelsie that just joined in.
Yes, and we lost LD. Love you, LD.
And Claudia. So, okay. But going that, usually if you do sessions with people, you do it over the phone. You also could do it on Zoom.
I do it however they want to do it. You can do it on the phone. Hearing your voice carries the vibration. You can do it through Zoom. You can do it in person. You can do it any way you want.
Anything you want. Anything. Y'all know that song. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or anything?
Claudia, I can feel it. I knew it.
Yay, Nelsie, is that how you say your name? You're muted, so you have to unmute yourself. She said, I've been watching on YouTube and finally figured out how to join via Zoom. Yay, growth.
Yes, Nelsie.
Now, that's an unusual name. Did you come about that name?
My mom's best friend's name was Nelsie, or is Nelsie. So
that's sweet. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us.
well, thank you.
And you have a question. Are you able to talk to family members that have passed?
Say that what?
Are you able to talk to family members that have passed?
If the family members want to talk, just because you're dead doesn't make them, any more talkative or any more, available. Because when you're dead, you don't just sort of sit there and wait for someone to call up. You're very busy, and so there are times that if you want to talk to your brother Fred, that your brother Fred may not be available or be convenient for him to join in. So if they want to talk, I'm available to listen.
Yes. And usually on her privates, she calls them privates for that reason, so they're not limited, but it's also can be she can tap into the Akashic. She can she's guided to where is going to be best for you. And
what I do beforehand is just say a prayer that let me serve spirit and however it serves you. And I ask that people sort of do the same thing. And then whatever comes up, and sometimes it's talking to your divine guidance, and sometimes it's talking to dead relatives, and sometimes it's talking to, sometimes it's past life, and it can be all kinds of different things, which is why I just call it a private session. We don't know what's going to happen. It's based on private session. I had a person whose son had committed suicide, and she wanted to talk to her son. And I said, I can't guarantee that, because it's up to your son whether he wants to talk to you. I mean, after all, he's committed suicide. There's a reason why he left the planet. And so when I tapped in, I felt this energy, and I described this person. She said, oh yeah, that's my son. And I said, well, he's not talking. He's just sitting there. I mean, I see him, but he's not saying anything. She says, yeah, he didn't talk in life either. It's like, yeah, well, he's still not talking. There's not going to be a huge jump in personalities or dispositions just because they're dead. Who you are is relatively consistent. You don't become this om saying pious person when you die. You're just more of you. So he was there, he showed up, but he didn't say anything.
Claudia.
Hi, Claudia, you got your hand up. Woo!
I have a question about what do you think about like the law of attraction and The Secret? I mean, I believe very much in manifestation, but I feel like, I want to start manifesting, different things in my life. And do you have any suggestions on like books or people to follow? Because I'm not sure if I want to get on Netflix and start watching The Secret. It seems like it's not the thing.
I have very strong feelings, and they're probably different than most people's. I think people have been fed a line of hooey with The Secret and the law of attraction stuff, as if that's the way to make everything happen. It is a tiny factor among many factors that create your life. And in fact, I did a workshop, an all-day workshop on identifying the 12 other main features that determine your life. Law of attraction was one of the 12. Because what happens is people think, oh, I've got this terrible experience in my life. I must be thinking bad thoughts. I'm just stupid. Why can't I manifest this? And so they do a lot of self-blaming because they're not thinking right. When, the law of attraction is a part of the piece of puzzle. They're part of the manifesting your life. That's not the whole enchilada. For instance, if I join the army, I no longer get to decide what I'm going to eat. I don't get to decide what I'm going to wear. I don't get to decide when I get up or what I'm going to do during the day. I don't get to decide who I'm going to call and when I'm going to call them. When I joined the army, I literally relinquished a lot of my free will. When I joined the army, I said, okay, this is what I'm willing to do to serve my country or serve whatever. The same thing for light workers. When the light workers said, I'll go to the planet, I'll be human, I'll live this life for the good of the planet, they also joined a service unit, the light workers. And so many of the experiences, let's say you're here to help the homeless. So many of the, and I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, and I'm feeling tears coming on, so I've got to dance slow. So many of the people who are light workers said, I want to serve this population. So they came into the planet homeless, penniless, roofless. They're living on the streets, not because they're too stupid to manifest their new Mercedes, but because that was the population they want to serve, as did people who use drugs. We trust people who've been in our shoes. So many of the people who are the best drug counselors were drug addicts. So when you joined the light worker team, you were given an assignment. You're given a sphere of influence, and therefore you have to have certain experiences for credibility, not because you're a faulty thinker or you brought it to you, but because you needed this in order to make a difference for the population you're here to serve. And so I think, I think that we have to look at a much bigger way. When a lot of the healers, bless their heart, as they say in the South, bless their heart, a lot of those healers just walk around going, heal you, I'm going to fix you, I'm going to do this. And they do all this healing without people asking them to heal. They're just healing because they think it's a thing to do because they can. But when you heal someone, you change their life pattern. And if they didn't ask you to do that, if they didn't invite you into their world, you have now changed their life, and you now have incurred their karmic debt. You now have taken on whatever you screwed up in their life. So a lot of healers have a lot of illnesses. They have a lot of chaos in their life because they don't understand boundaries and don't understand that from a cosmic sense, you have to be invited. You call me and say, Heather, I've got this pain. Will you help me get rid of it? I can do whatever I feel necessary to do. But if you haven't asked me to help you, then my job is just to send you love. No outcome. And so those are just two of the ways that your life is affected, even with thinking all the right thoughts and saying the right affirmations and doing the correct thinking. And we could go on and on and on. Judgments, you judge, you're going to have to experience what you judge. I don't care what you're thinking, what affirmations you're saying, you have to experience what you judge. Judge not, lest you be judged. So all of that stuff plays into your life, the quality of your life, the drama of your life, and recognizing it allows you to be more in effect. So it's not just The Secret. It's not just the law of attraction. It's much bigger, much more complex.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that. I mean, that's why I was like, I mean, I never vibed with The Secret. It's like, that's not the whole picture. I know that there's karmic things that I'm destined to live.
You're not destined to live it. You have an opportunity of living it so that you can learn from that lesson. The law of grace supersedes the law of karma. So as soon as you're ready to say, I don't need this anymore, I can move beyond it, you can. That's what the law of grace does. The law of grace frees you from that karmic obligation.
Mm-hmm. So is there a book that you have on this? I know you have lots of books.
I know.
I think that we should do it. Mom has done a couple workshops before in manifestation, but it feels like maybe it's an opportunity for Mom to do another.
Okay. Well, certainly we can, but that's a long workshop, because when you go through all the 12 things that impact the quality of your life, it's not a quickie. And right now I want to get my house on the market. So, but as soon as we get the house taken care of, that's one thing we can do. But no, I don't have the book written yet. Soon.
But she's got the book on judgment. She's got the book on, you got lots of books.
Got lots of books.
Yeah.
Not nearly enough.
Any of their books that have to do with this that I could check out?
I would say The Perfect Power and Consciousness.
I actually have. I don't. We've been packing things away. When I get to the other side of this, I do have that workshop on audio on the 12 things that impact the quality of your life. So remind me when we get to decide, and I'll search it out. I've got a lot of audio tapes that are not available at this point in time, but I want to make them once I get to the other side of this experience.
And if someone's on here that is techie, that knows how to load, for example, Zoom recordings to a website for people to be able to purchase, please let me know, because I could use that and Mom can use that. And then we can have these on the website. And then you can just be like, here we go. I want this workshop. Here we go. And usually when we do the 2-hour workshops, they're $22. We like donation based. So you can always give more if it means more to you, but we do our best to make it affordable so anyone and everyone can join in, and it's an energy exchange as well. So when you invest in yourself, it's part of the give back.
So you need to figure out how to upload Zoom recordings to a website.
So that, like, yeah, so you can go into the cart, for example, if they wanted to buy the workshop, they could buy the workshop and either have just watch the recording or join in, kind of thing.
I'll see if I can find someone. And I have a webmaster that helps me do a lot of stuff, and I do internet, like digital marketing courses. Like I teach people how to create them. I'm not a super techie with the nuts and bolts of websites, but I'll ask my webmaster.
That would be amazing. And if they want to do like a little class too, like I'm happy to help host and Zoom, like because I have the Zoom account that I pay for and stuff. But I need someone like that in my life and Mom's life. like to put all of her stuff up there because it is accessible. And
Did you have all the recordings already, like on audio files?
Um,
they have audio and video files.
Okay, that shouldn't be too difficult then. I mean, if you have that stuff already in like an audio file.
Yeah. I don't know how to get it, but I know
I have to get the website done first. My website is collapsed. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. So anybody else have questions or anything else with that, Claudia?
Yeah, like, let's just talk offline, Stacy, on this. I can probably help you with.
Thank you.
Yeah, Heather, I would love that. I feel like I'm starting to get on the other side of all of the crazy drama from last week with family. Even though literally my brother left today to go to Miami to vaccinate his children, and I
Just love them.
Yeah, just had to love it and just say, hey, just like you said, they chose these parents, and it's part of their journey to be, in that.
And as cold as it seems, everybody's going to die anyway. It's just a matter of when and by what. We're all going to die. No one gets off the planet alive. So it's all divinely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote my book, Exploring Life's Last Frontier, The World of Death, Dying, and Letting Go, many years ago. But I was told there'll come a time where we'll lose massive numbers of people. And if everybody's in mourning, they won't be able to process it. So the book was written in preparation of that. And who knows, this may be what it was in preparation for. It's all perfect.
Mm.
So just love them. And imagine loving the little doses that get, jabbed with. Just love it.
And I also pray for truth. And the best part is the more you personally live in your truth, speak your truth, and stand in your truth, we actually shift the collective consciousness. And that is one of the best things to do. If you really want to shift the planet, you shift yourself. That's it. We only have responsibility truly for you and your actions and what you do and every thought and everything. So it's about your vibration, your energy, your frequency. What do you want to emanate? And if you, as light workers, we all feel that deep inside of us, there's something we're supposed to be doing, not supposed to be working this 9-to-5 job. Like there's something deep. We're here for a purpose. And we have that strong inside of us. Like, I know I'm supposed to be helping. I know I'm supposed to be serving. What, like, how is that? What is that? And know that it will happen in different ways. But to me, the biggest thing we can do right now is to be in that truth. And if we as individuals can literally change our frequency to truth, we give that collective consciousness truth. And so that's no accident that, right, the emails of truth pouring in, because it's us shifting as ourselves, as our sovereign beings. And it is absolutely so important.
Working a 9-to-5 job doesn't necessarily mean you're not doing your job.
Exactly.
I mean, there's you can work a regular job and still being 100% on target for your mission, whatever that may be to you.
But
so
I think mission
it's
is
not either or.
Yes. But I think that there's a lot of us that feel that way. And there's some people that totally, like you said, the angel in the toll booth, who is one of your beautiful friends. That's her gift, was to send love into the toll booth. And she had articles around her and just how much she impacted people in the daily. Look how many less accidents, and that people had probably better days at work, better with their family, just by getting those little doses. So yes, as it doesn't matter what you do or your job title, it has nothing to do about that. But I think truly that if you're not where you're supposed to be, it has that feeling inside of like, I think we're guided by our emotions. And so I think that's really what to listen to. I mean,
just be true to your heart, whatever feels right for you.
Totally. And I've never really had 9-to-5. I mean, working my jobs, it could be 12, 15, 16-hour days. So it's 9-to-5 to me sounds nice. I get to go home at 5. Like, I didn't really have those kind of jobs ever in my life. So yeah.
Anything else online?
We have an Amen sister. We have our Juan Carlos from Mexico saying hello. We have Aesthetic Soul giving us a sun and number one and stars and prayer hands. So no questions, but just little comments.
Okay.
If
Love to you all.
And then, by the way, if you do want to ask questions, I know, Nelsie, you're new on Zoom. Feel free to unmute yourself and kind of jump in, or you can also type in the box that you have a question, or you can raise your hand. But feel free.
And there's electronic hands you can raise too, but you don't have to raise hands. Just join the conversation. Yes, Claudia.
Anything you have to say about the upcoming the solstice?
To me, it's all about new beginnings. It's new starts. It's fresh. I believe that we're going through such a shift in the planet right now, which is why we're all being hit different ways of feeling the energies. For me, I find I'm getting a lot of anything that's not truly fully healed and fully let go of is being illuminated. And I think that we're really being asked to show up and love ourselves more in a deeper way, because if we can't love ourselves, we can't love the planet, right? It's all comes back to self. So I truly believe that we're in a place of being able to sit with your shadow. In fact, I might do some coursework around sitting with your shadow, because I feel like it's such important work to be able to do that. But it's I'll look into astrology wise, but I think there's some big shifts coming back, and I want to say there's some Saturn and Jupiter taking place, but I'll have to look at it. I'm learning my astrology stuff from Danielle Page, and it's so good. But I do feel that there is a shift, like it's an opportunity for new realities, new beginnings, new stuff. Mom, what you think?
First of all, I'm going to talk to Nelsie and said, yes, there's an email list you can join. Just, you can either jot your email into the chat box, and you can even do it privately if you prefer, or you can email me at heather@heatherharder.com. This is for any of you who want to be put on our email list, and then you become a part of our email list. And then if you're interested in some of the political conversations we have, we do those Sunday night, but we also have a Facebook group that we sort of post to each other a lot of the updates with what's going on sort of politically and in that realm, that you're welcome to be a part of as well. So welcome, and it's lovely seeing your face.
If you want to, Heather@heatherharder.com is her email. Heather@heatherharder.com, and in the subject, what do you want them to put so it gets your attention?
Hi, beautiful lady. It doesn't matter what they put in there. And I will usually respond immediately just to say, hey, I got this. If I don't respond, then sometimes your emails get lost, because I get lots of them. So just be aware. Okay. You were asking about the sun thing. The sun for me is, and I only do things energetically. I don't do astrology. I don't do anything else. I just do direct communication and energies. This month has been an incredible month so far. If you've, in the good old days, when you used to make chocolate pudding from scratch, if you haven't done that, do that, because it's an interesting experience. But when it cools, there'll be a hard thing on the top, and then all the jelly pudding is underneath it. And that's sort of what's going on in this month, that we've got the surface seems smooth and tranquil, but underneath lots of things are changing. And every time we've had sort of a sacred day, whether it be the equinox or the lunar eclipse or these other things that come up, has caused a jolt, sort of like a shift in the cycles of your washing machine. You know, we go from wash to rinse, and every one of those have a purpose in the overall process. And this month we've had about 5 different cycles, and it's continuing to be a big cycle. The sun is the energy that most excites our soul. The moon harmonizes and sort of lullabies it. The sun excites it and speeds it up. And so with that solar activity, it's going to activate and accelerate your soul. Listen to your soul when you have strong emotions. And if you haven't learned how to recognize and process your emotions, you tend to act out in them. When you get angry, you scream and you holler and you throw things, or you storm, or you slam a door. You're still acting in your emotion. As you move up, your emotions are actually stronger, but you don't have to act out in that energy. So you still get that strong emotion, but you don't. Someone looking at you is not going to see you slamming a door, or screaming or hollering, but you feel that strong emotion. When you feel that emotion, sit with it. Give yourself 5 minutes. You don't have to do a long time, but just sit with it and ask yourself the questions. Why am I feeling this? What is this showing me? Why is this bubbling up? And if you just give yourself the time to recognize, it goes away. As soon as you get it, the emotion goes away, which is why you don't have to do all the acting in it. If you're still in the period of slamming doors or screaming at people or getting angry, then know that you're still in the outward mode of your spiritual evolution. When you go to the inner mode, you'll be able to assist yourself as going through that. Your emotions don't go away. You don't get to be this place where you're just, in fact, I find what I would call the faux spiritual beings are the ones that act like they just own all the time and nothing ever bothers them. I don't find that to be accurate. I find that to be more acting than accurate. Well, it's almost like a say. But you're always going to have the emotion. It's just what you do with it is very important. But the sun is going to really bring up whatever you need to look at. So pay attention to it. And it's not just the moment of the solar eclipse, but a couple days before, a couple days after. And you may work your way into it and then sort of wind down from it. So pay attention to that 4-day spread of what's going on inside you. You are the key to your growth, but you've got to spend time looking at that internal process.
Yeah, I don't think it's an eclipse. It's just a solstice, the summer solstice.
Wasn't there a solar eclipse this month too?
There
And
was,
then there's a lunar eclipse, and there's a solar eclipse, and then the solstice.
that's so I think it was a week ago or something. But yes, and from my understanding, those were also some good energy portals for manifestation, and bringing in and calling in some stuff. We do have a couple questions on here.
Okay.
I like how okay. So I know you missed some of the beginning one, but if you go back, that we did actually quite a bit of talking on manifestation. But he says he has a question about, by being present, everything manifests as it should. Why doesn't it happening? Like, why is nothing happening? Nothing is manifesting, he's saying, because I asked him like, and what? And then she said,
All right. Don't go into something else. Let me finish with that. I was born in Tennessee and grew up in Tennessee and in the early years, and then have relatives and then go down there a lot. So I've done a lot on farms. When a farmer plants a field, they plug up the dirt and then they put the seeds in, and then it looks like nothing's happening for a very long time until things start to sprout. And then, the movement is relatively slow, and then all of a sudden it bears fruit. So if you plant corn, you'll get your corn back. If you planted beans, you'll get your beans back. But there's a period of time, even though everything is working just as it should, that you don't see anything. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. We are manifesting what our world will be. It just doesn't look like it now. That's where the trust has to come in. We are manifesting. And the more we can hold that consistent thought, that consistent belief, the more we collectively buy into it in order to have the world we want. But you have to trust the process. Okay. I need to say that.
And we have 1 minute and 40 seconds before it cuts me off. So I don't know if we're going to be ending or if we're going to keep going. Hi, Claudia. I got your message. Okay. So on that, yes, feel it, believe it, know it as if it's already happened. And it's a multi-dimensional, but when you know it's already there and it's already happened and like you're feeling the gratitude for that, that's very big part of it, is that vibrational shift. You can do a couple visuals with that as well. One of the visuals I like to do is like you're literally like, imagine almost like an elevator, right? And you're getting off on your perfect floor, and you can do it in so many ways. But if you literally see it, feel it, and when you step into it, like get off on the floor and it's everything you've dreamed of, and it's like, what does it feel like? And oh my God, I'm so grateful that my man loves me the way he does. And I'm so glad that you know what I mean? Like you live it as if it's already there and feeling it and believing it and knowing it and then letting it go. No attachments.
And it's 8:17 right now. And so when it cuts off, we will just bring it to a close. Because we've been on the phone now, on the call for 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. So we will just officially close when it goes off. And thank you all for joining us. Get your questions and things. You can send them to me through the week, or join us next week and we'll do more. If you want to hear politics and how politics plays into this, because it's all part of the divine plan and everything is perfect, because divine plan is always perfect, then you can join us on Sunday.
It's already shut off.
Okay. So we're done with that.
So much, ladies. You ladies are so awesome.
Aww. And I love that we get everybody from around the world. You're in Costa Rica?
No, I'm in El Salvador because my dad's sick. So this is where my family's from. Costa Rica. I'm between Costa Rica and El Salvador, but spending time here because my dad's sick.
I was born in El Salvador.
What?
Oh,
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
wow. Just
And
thought I'd say that.
Where are you located, Nelsie?
I'm in Texas.
You're in what part?
Just north of San Antonio, just outskirts, more rural area.
Pretty.
This is one of the
Mhm.
states we're looking
I like Texas. It's one of my 5 states. I haven't
Oh,
decided
nice.
where I'm going once I sell my house, but Texas is one of the 5 states that could be.
So if you know any
Nice.
land with trees, we're looking for trees. I ideally would like to have a retreat center where we can do these. I see it as like, come live for a week or 2 week intensive, like let's shift your life. Let's
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
right. I'm like so excited. But yeah, I want to really have an incredible place that can do so much. And then also other people can create retreats and have fun, but live on natural land and water.
As I've said before, and I'll say it again, when you're in the process of creation, you shouldn't be talking about your creation because it's the embryonic state. And it's like being pregnant, that you want to hold that concept, that process sacred and not talk about it a lot. So,
But you could bubble protect it. Yes.
all right. Well, anybody else have anything they want to say or ask as we close off the call?
Just
2 hours, 3 minutes,
love you.
and vice versa. Love you too. Thank you, Nelsie, for joining us. Rebecca, are you still listening? Anything you want to add or share?
Well, just thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you to all the people who were online and who will join us. And if you want to listen to this again, it is on Stacy's YouTube channel posting. So
Also, feel free to join us on Zoom too. Like I love, Nelsie, that you just got on with Zoom because it is nice too for mom to interact with people and to be able to connect and see. And so she's been a teacher her whole life. So actually seeing faces is really a lot nicer than looking at yourself on the screen talking. So it's
Mhm.
beautiful. We
Thank
welcome
you.
Thank you. And we do meet on Sundays again for the political stuff as well. But it's kind of anything and everything that we talk off the live because of freedom of speech.
yeah, that's a private conversation. So anyway, love you all. Have a great week. Know that June is bubbling and just trust the bubbles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Loads of love and light. Thank you for being here on this planet and being who you are and being able to sit with all this yumminess because it's a lot. So blessed. Loads of love and light.